feel like the gang's back together. Emily's back from basketball. Ben's back from his golf duty as well. So Rick as well. So it's great to see everybody back as well. So we're backing up a little bit. We practiced last Thursday. Got a lot of really good work in last Thursday as a team, and then gave the players off Easter weekend. So they had Friday, Saturday. Sunday off, came back in here yesterday, watched practice, weightlifting, and then today was our second scrimmage of the spring. Normally would have done that on Saturday, but since we had the weekend off, we went ahead and did it today. A lot of really good work. Got about 80 plays in today. Really wanted to work a lot of our young guys and backups and really get an even better idea coming out of spring practice who we can count on, and roles that some guys may have offensively, defensively, and special teams. So really got a lot of really good work with those guys today. Obviously coming off of scrimmage, it's always good, bad as the head coach. You see some good things the offense does, some bad things, good things the defense does, bad things, but thought the defense got off to a dominant start to the scrimmage today with the second group, the first group, and the third group. I think 7 out of the first 6 series, 5 of them were 3-and-outs. And so they certainly started fast and did a great job. Offense, we can't start that slow, but they rebounded and had a good, fourth quarter, if you will, or into the scrimmage as well. And in a red area period, just put the ball down on the 20-yard line and played football. So some success for the offense in that period. And then at a goal line period at the end as well, offense versus defense. Pleased from a head coach's standpoint. Not a lot of penalties. We had SEC officials out there today, and John McDade, the head of officials in the SEC, was here today as well. So a good performance from those guys, or from our guys in front of those guys. Not a lot of penalties, but like I told the team, the ones that we did have were critical penalties today. Pre-snap penalties that affect your ability to win and lose games. An illegal formation that negated a first down in the red zone, a 12 men on the field that gave the offense a first down, a false start by a receiver that should never happen. We had a horse collar tackle, which sometimes that's going to happen, but gave the offense a first down. So we got to clean up a lot of those, but a lot to build up on. Good work today, like I said. I've got a bunch of guys that are banged up right now, so we were limited, particularly in the secondary, with how many guys were out there today. So we got a lot of guys, some work, which is great for them. We'll take tomorrow and review this video, lift weights, and meet, and then practice again Thursday and Friday leading into the spring game on Saturday. Format will be just like it was last year. We're going to try and make it as much like a game as we can. We'll divide up the teams. Still working through how exactly we're going to do that, but try and make the teams as even as possible and play it like a game. Get a lot of guys, everybody in there, and get them some work. And then once we get off the meet as a staff today at 4 o'clock, we'll meet today like we always do on practice days and get an update on the health of the team and figure out how we can best, set up the spring game in regards to who's going to be available and not going to be available on Saturday night. But regardless, it needs to be a great atmosphere, and know it will be. It's going to be awesome being back in Williams-Brice Stadium. Today was the first time we as a team have been back in Williams-Brice Stadium since the Tennessee game last season, last home game. So it was awesome to be back out there, I know, as a football team, and I know it'll be awesome for Gamecock Nation to be back out there on Saturday night as well. So looking forward to a fantastic weekend and wrapping up spring practice here throughout the week. So with that, any questions?
Shane, is it important, or how important is it to have a 2-deep going into the summer, at least a tentative idea of like, this is who we want to start, and this is the guy that's the top backup?
No, I think it's very important. You also know that things change over the summer, but certainly, we'll play the spring game on Saturday night, and then starting Monday morning at 7 a.m. For the next 2-3 days, I'll have every single player on our team coming through my office to meet with me individually. And in those meetings, I'll talk to them about here's where your role is right now, and here's where you need to improve, and what needs to happen for you to have even more of a role or whatnot. So certainly we want to be very honest and clear with our guys in regards to where they stand right now. But absolutely, from a coaching standpoint, planning standpoint, I believe it's important to know. But you also know that we do all those workouts and things in the summer for a reason, and that's to get better. And guys will have an opportunity to either increase the gap between them and another player or close the gap based on what they do in the summer. And then we get the whole month of August before we play. So we've got a lot of work to do before the season starts. We also know that we'll have some newcomers that aren't here right now that'll be here in June when we start summer school as well. So you realize that things can change. We're always about competition and we're always competing, but certainly coming out of spring practice, it's critical to have an idea of where guys stand and what our offense, defense, and special teams is going to look like.
You mentioned feeling like you have a better idea of the guys you can probably count on moving forward. Are there any not so obvious names that come to the top of your head that you could rattle off?
Nobody that really just jumps out at me right now. Obviously, we got 3 practices left. You guys will get to see a lot of these guys on Saturday night at the spring game. No, I mean, there's the obvious names, and without going through there and naming every single true freshman that's here right now, I will say this. There's not a true freshman that we have here right now that I say, man, we missed on that guy. We don't think he's going to be a player. Like, I'm really, really excited about this freshman class, Hale, that's here right now, as well as the incoming transfers that are here right now as well. So a lot of our true freshmen, it's a great benefit when you're able to go through spring practice and graduate high school early. As you guys know, we've got a bunch of guys that have been able to do that, and that has done nothing but help those guys during spring practice as well. So I'm really excited about the freshman class and their potential roles on this team in 2023 and beyond. And then beyond that, returning guys. I think Stone Blanton's had a really good spring, a returning guy, that's really done some good things for us. TJ Sanders up front on defense, I think, has done some really good things. And in the secondary, those guys have picked up where they've left off. And then, offensively, the whole tight end position is new. Offensive line, we need those guys to continue to take steps. So really everybody. Luke Doty made some nice plays in the scrimmage today as well. But a lot of the obvious names, and then, a lot of newcomers that I'm not quite ready to anoint yet, but I'm really excited about.
Shane, I know we heard Coach Freeze talking about the idea of playing an actual team, I guess, in the spring. I know you've talked about a preseason game of some sort in the past. I'm just curious, is that something you think could happen in the future? I mean, where do you kind of fall in terms of that, maybe changes to what spring games are right now, at least? Yeah,
it's good to see you were keeping up with college football while you were covering the Masters last week as well. So thank you. No, I'm hopeful. I've said it before. It's something to me that makes too much sense not to be able to, and whether it's in spring practice or whether it's in preseason camp as well, to be able to compete against another team. Would love to be able to do it in spring practice. Would love to be able to do it in preseason camp. I've said it over and over again. We're the only sport at any level that doesn't get a scrimmage or a preseason game or an exhibition game. Any sport, any level, would love to be able to. And I saw where I think it was. I want to say it was Coach Summerall, the head coach at Troy, even threw out the idea of like practicing against another college in August, like the NFL teams do. That'd be great as well. Just August is great, but it's a long month, guys. I mean, it's August, whatever day. I think we report August 4th this year, and then we play North Carolina a month later. I mean, that's a month straight of practicing basically every single day against each other. So to be able to just, go out there, if anything, too, just to kind of, you think you're pretty good going into the first game, but you don't, but you don't know because you're practicing against yourself the whole month, too. So to be able to just kind of change it up, I'd be all for it. Spring practice, August practice, and I've been saying it, but it's not anything that we've spent a lot of time talking about in head coaches meetings or SEC meetings, but, who knows, maybe one day.
Shane, you mentioned the offense doing well in the red zone and in some goal line situations and doing 4-minute offense last week. Where is this team offensively, defensively, in terms of situationally? Is it kind of where you expected it would be, or does that need to maybe improve?
No, I think it's we've spent a lot of time on it. We haven't spent, there's a lot of, we'll go back and reinstall everything, obviously, in August when we go into preseason camps. We'll basically, everything that we took in installation in spring practice, we'll do the same thing in August. all the situational football things that come up, and then even more so because of August. And we've spent a lot of time on it, like we always do, Colin. I don't want to say we hold back, but we also know there's some guys that aren't here that will play roles for us, I'm sure, this fall as well. So they'll be going through it in August. But I like where we are. We probably haven't spent as much time on a 2-minute offense, 2-minute drill at the end of the game, offense and defense. We were going to do it today, but I ended up not doing it at the end of the scrimmage just because we played about 80 plays and we were getting short on. We got some DBs that are out with injuries, and then O'Donnell Fortune was sick today, so he wasn't out there. So we were just those DBs have been out there for a lot, and we didn't do the 2-minute drill at the end. We'll work it, I think, the next 2 days in practice. I got it on the schedule. I know I do on Friday, but I like where we are. There's a lot of work to do, but you can't get enough of the situational stuff. And we spend a lot of time in our meetings on practice days where, okay, today we're doing red zone, today we're doing third down, today we're doing 2-minute, 4-minute, whatever it may be, and being able to show back to last season the good and the bad that we had as well, to be able to teach off of it and learn from as well.
You have to forgive my voice today.
Yeah.
But you guys will have a bunch of recruits in town this weekend for the spring game. Just what is it like kind of hosting for the spring game compared to hosting during the season, and how do you kind of, convey the atmosphere with a smaller stage?
Yeah, great question. One, you convey the atmosphere. Not that I spend a lot of time sending pictures of other stadiums to recruits, but I know that our atmosphere will be awesome out there on Saturday. And compared to a lot of schools, we'll have a lot more people in the stands and maybe some other schools as well. So just making sure that those high school prospects know that it's not like this everywhere, that, Gamecock Nation and Williams-Brice Stadium is really, really special, and we don't take for granted and don't want recruits to either, the support that we have here. And then it's a little bit more loose, if you will, from a recruiting standpoint. And probably the biggest thing, Emily, is you have more time. If it's a home game, I'm sitting at the team hotel in a hotel room by myself all day until we arrive to the stadium. Whereas for the spring game, if we got guys coming in here at lunchtime, you literally can spend the day with them here at the football facility, where during the season we're at the hotel with the team throughout the day, or I am, and then the assistant coaches are kind of back and forth, but we're all, kind of all hands on deck here for a spring game where we've got more time in the afternoon to be able to spend time with them, and it's a little bit of a looser environment because you're not getting ready to play another team. So from that standpoint, it's great just to be able to spend more time with them, let them see the atmosphere out there, and make it fun, for all those guys, our players, and then the prospects and their families that are visiting also.
Shane, you talked about how guys can work over the summer and put themselves in better position going into a fall camp. Mm-hmm. Is it possible for a guy to make a move during the spring game to put himself in better position going into the summer?
Yeah, absolutely. I think whether it's a spring game against each other or a scrimmage, to me, some guys just have a knack for elevating and making plays when they're under the lights in the stadium. And I'm always keeping an eye out and watching for those guys, certainly. When the lights come on and they're playing in front of a crowd, they don't shrink from the limelight or the spotlight. They elevate their game even more, and they're gamers, if you will. So certainly, I've been around places where a guy just makes a lot of plays in a spring game, and it's like, hold on now, let's make sure we really take a hard look at this guy as well, and I'm sure there'll be guys like that on Saturday night as well. I mean, I go back to last year, Joseph Burns from right here in the Camden area. I mean, Joseph made some plays in the spring game, and I think he had an interception at the end of the game to finish it. And that was a guy. He didn't play a ton of snaps this past season for us, but he was a guy that showed that night that he can be counted on, depended on, and his role has only continued to increase, for sure as we go forward. So I'm sure there'll be other guys like that, and eager to see those guys on Saturday night.
You've said going in the spring that the goals were to improve the defense against the run and improve the running game. Did you come close to meeting those goals?
Yeah, I've seen signs of both, Phil. I really have. Today, certainly we didn't run the ball like we needed to today in the scrimmage. The defense, I mean, they were dominant up front early on in that scrimmage, especially, and didn't do a lot of our runs today were broke tackles by the running backs. So we weren't as good on the offense today running the ball. The defense was really good at stopping the run today, but today was practice 12 out of 15. So I think in all practices, there's days that Coach White would have said we weren't very good on defense stopping the run today, and Coach Loggins would have said we were really good on offense running the ball. So I've seen signs of being able to do it, and we put a lot of time in it, and confident, that we will be. And all the other thing too is I've said it before with you guys, I believe, like when you talk about stopping the run, it's all 11 on defense. I think sometimes people point to the D line and the linebackers and not the defensive backs. Well, the way we play defense, I mean, there's going to be gaps that defensive backs are responsible for, and they've got to make tackles and be in those gaps. And I thought they did a great job today, the defensive backs, of playing physical and flying around and making a lot of tackles near the line of scrimmage as well.
Hi. As you've moved through spring ball, who are some individuals that maybe you've been impressed by in terms of the personal growth they've made since last season, or even stepping into like a leadership role that you were pleasantly surprised by?
Yeah, I'll start with Spencer. I mean, he came in last year at this time. He was new and was still feeling his way through, learning an offense, learning his teammates. I think Spencer's done been a lot better from a leadership standpoint, just being a year older and a year more experience in this system. Proud of the carry-on Joyner. He's a guy that's essentially gone through a position change this spring, but he got on the offense today. We scored a touchdown in the red zone, and he was getting on the other guys on offense because he didn't think the offense celebrated as well as they should have and needed to show more energy and excitement about scoring a touchdown, which he's exactly right as well. Pleasantly, not necessarily surprised, but really pleased with DQ Smith. He's a guy that I hear talking all the time on defense, and I've told our guys, like, the great defenses, you hear them all the time. They're talking, they're constantly communicating, and I feel like DQ's done a good job of being a leader and talking and things like that. So I think, you go through all those guys. Boogie Huntley, we got some guys out on the defensive line. Tonka's not practicing right now, and Boogie's kind of the old man of that D-tackle group. I think he's done a really good job. So it's going to be critical that we continue to develop leadership on this team because we're a young team. I mean, we got a lot of guys back, but if you look around, I mean, there's a bunch of freshmen and sophomores on this football team that we're going to be counting on this season, and we need them to grow up in a hurry. And then that leadership that we have on this team is going to be critical also.
You mentioned you're still working through trying to divide up teams. When you do that as a staff, kind of what's the goal there other than just to make it fair? Obviously, trying to get certain guys to play together, certain situational groupings. How do you maximize spring game rosters as a staff?
Yeah, it's complicated. It really is. Honestly, last year, Alan, I sat in a room by myself and I just did it by myself. And I just gave it to the coaches. I said, here it is. If you see any issues, let me know. But it's just that. It's, okay, we play with a nickel, a fifth defensive back, most of the time on defense. Well, we've got Keenan Nelson's one of those guys. Keenan's banged up right now and really isn't doing much. David Spalding's not doing anything right now. So you're thin on the nickel back position, for example. So it's one of those, okay, if we only got two nickels and I know one's going to be on this team, one's going to be on the other team, you want to have your offensive line to gel. So do you keep the first team offensive line together or the second team offensive line together, or do you mix and match? And it's also keeping in mind as the game goes on, we're less likely to have our, guys that are proven here in the game, so making sure you got enough guys to finish the game and things like that as well. So I'm kicking around some different ways of doing it this year, whether it's me sitting in a room and doing it by myself like I did last season, or which I tried to make it as even as possible, or whether we do it a little bit more interactive with everybody else. So we're going to talk about that as a staff here this afternoon. But it's a science putting together the rosters for the Garnet and Black game. It's not as simple as it looks.
On that subject with the running back position and hearing what you were saying about some of the struggles, maybe you want to try to get those guys as much work as possible on Saturday, but still have only a few of them. So how do you try to balance that, like trying to get the guys to work, but also knowing you're pretty light on numbers there?
Yeah, you want to get them work, and certainly it's the offensive line too. I mean, you're trying to figure out what where those guys fit together, those offensive linemen. And today we did a little bit of mixing and matching with some guys that have been maybe playing predominantly left tackle, played some right side today, and vice versa. So just trying to get guys in as many spots as possible on the offensive line. And then at running back, certainly we want to get those guys work, but we've got plenty of running backs. I mean, obviously people talk about DeCarrion and Mario and Juju because they're the three that have played the most snaps or that we talk about the most. But we've got a lot of guys in that room to give us depth in there as well, and got those guys work in there today. And Saturday night will be no question, or will be no different. All those guys will play, and it's like all spring games. We're not just going to show everything that we're doing offensively and defensively. I'm not an idiot. I mean, I know it's going to be on television and other teams are going to watch it and things like that. So we're going to, we'll be vanilla, but we can be vanilla enough on all three phases to be able to evaluate and get guys work.
Shane, the 7:00 kickoff for the second straight year. I don't remember how it came about last year, but this year, was this something offered from the TV networks? Did you request it? Just how did the evening kick come about?
That's a good question. I got a text message from Chance Miller and Coach Tanner both. Said, "Are you good with the 7 p.m. kickoff for the spring game?" And I wrote back, "Yep," and that was the end of it. So I don't know. I'm all for it. I thought it was great last year. Like it from a recruiting standpoint because you get all day to, like I was telling Emily, to visit with recruits and things like that. I know our players liked it being under the lights. Having the fireworks this year I think will be exciting also, just kind of making it different. So I really don't know everything that went into it. I guess I wasn't privy to those conversations other than signing off on it.
Hey, Coach, we saw you this week on the Masters broadcast. How much does it mean to you in this program to have the platform like the Masters to, promote your program and whatnot, get your message out there?
No, that was awesome. One, it was amazing being over there for obvious reasons to be at Augusta National, but it was really cool being there and seeing so many Gamecocks that were there. I mean, it seems like every hole I was on, it was a go Cox, go Cox, go Cox everywhere that I went, which was awesome. Yeah, to see so many people up there, or to see so many people and being able to talk and visit with people about Gamecock football was great. But then to be able to go on that platform as well, as you guys know, the media members, Rick and Ben, and you guys that were there as media can have your phones there, I guess. But everyone else, the patrons, aren't allowed to take phones out there on the course. So I didn't have my phone, but then I got back to my phone after doing that interview with ESPN. I mean, it was like usually after a big win, I'll come in the locker room at the stadium and I've got, hundreds of text messages. It was the same thing after getting my phone back from being on ESPN with Marty. So certainly grateful to have that platform. I'm still kind of figuring out how I made the cut to get on the show. I mean, Eric Church is behind me, for goodness sakes, and I'm on the show before him. And one person doesn't belong. But it was awesome to be able, you realize how many people are watching it, and then you hear from, recruits that like golf or whatever it may be. So it was really neat. And then so many people. I was down at Hilton Head Island yesterday as well, and played golf with Wesley Bryan at the Monday Pro-Am, and to have so many people there that came up to me that said they had seen that interview on Friday as well was pretty cool. So grateful for the platform, and anytime I get the opportunity to talk about Gamecock athletics and Gamecock football, I'm going to.
Shane, the next transfer portal window opens Saturday, I believe. Do you guys anticipate being active in the portal this offseason, and what are some positions maybe that you guys might target?
Yeah, I think those are things that we're really trying to figure out right now, Colin. I mean, and a lot of the things that we've done here in practice today with the scrimmage and what we'll do the rest of the week will be really trying to get an idea about who we have in the program and what kind of role they're going to be able to play for us this fall. And the answer to that question will be the answer to how active we are. But as I've always told the team and have told anybody, my job is to always do what's best for Carolina football. And anytime I have an opportunity to increase competition on our roster and make our football team better, I'm going to as well. But at the same time, I'm always cognizant of the culture we have here and making sure that any person that we do bring into our program, they fit what we're about as a football program as well, on and off the field. and in position-wise, still trying to figure that out and determine that.
No, over the years, you've been at a lot of places in here where you've brought in guest speakers to speak to your team. I'm wondering who are one or two people that have had maybe the biggest impact on you with what they've had to say to the team, or that you've gotten feedback from the players that have really impacted them.
Good one. We've had quite a few at other places that I've been. Trying to just think names, off the top of my head. We had, just last year we had Damon West come in. If you've read the book, The Coffee Bean, Damon's awesome. Todd Gongwer came in last year. He wrote the book Lead for God's Sake. He came in and did an awesome job. We've had pro NFL coaches that have come in last summer. Eric Henderson, the D-line coach for the Rams, came in last summer. I'm going to forget somebody. We're fortunate that we've got a lot of people, people pay money for Derek Moore to come and speak to them, and we've got Demo here in our building every single day. So a lot of the people that we bring in, they better be able to have a great message or better than Demo. And I think our players, I'm very particular and very guarded with who I'll let speak to the team and bring in here. So if I do bring somebody in or we bring somebody in, I'm going to talk to other coaches and staff members and things like that. If we're going to bring a speaker in, we're going to call other places that they've been just to see what other schools or teams say about them. So I'm always looking for great people to bring in here. We've had some really good ones that have come in here, and I've got a list on my desk. I mean, that's one of those things, John, you're always thinking about. Back in January and February, you're planning who you want to come in and speak to your team in August during preseason camp. So those are conversations that I've had with either speakers or George Wynn reaching out to people or Demo about guys. And I'm always asking people, hey, or who are the same questions you just asked me. Those are things that I'm always asking other coaches and people as well, just trying to learn from people. Or it may be somebody as simple as I read an article about someone and said, man, this guy would be great to come talk to our team as well. So we're all always looking to find guys that can impact our team that way.
Shane, obviously with the transfer portal windows is a little bit different this year versus last year and the years before that. But how has that changed things, if at all, having this late window, obviously the early window in December and everything? I mean, how much has that affected what you guys are doing and what you're able to do, and I guess maybe helped streamline it, if at all? I mean, what kind of changes have you seen with it?
Yeah, I love the fact that the window. I like the fact that the window here in the springtime is shorter than what it is in the wintertime. And I know the one in the wintertime is longer for different reasons, but that's a long 6 weeks or whatever it is, 5 weeks. It's a long time in December and January. And I like this one because it's shorter. Our guys have a lot going on. They have spring practice going on, portal windows opening. We got exams starting up here really soon here at Carolina as well. So, and then our coaches are going out on the road recruiting. I think Wednesday we'll finish up individual meetings with our players Monday and Tuesday next week, and then a lot of our coaches will be on the road recruiting on Wednesday. So there's a lot happening, and people are traveling in different places. So for it to be shorter and streamlined, I'm a fan of that, without a doubt. And then again, I go back to we're always just trying to make our program a program that guys want to be a part of, and we're open and honest with them and demanding and hold them accountable and work really, really hard and win football games and hopefully continue to and we'll develop guys on and off the field and want guys that want to be a part of that. And if there's an opportunity to make our team better that fits our culture, then we'll look into that. And if a guy here in our program feels like he'd be better, suited somewhere else for whatever reason, then for whatever reason, we'll help those guys with those decisions as well. All right, thank you guys. See y'all Saturday.